Hello everybody, I've been busy, I've been doing stuff and getting very dirty whilst doing it. I've been working on my lorry, my truck. Anyway, so I haven't been making videos of late, so I apologise for that. I lost my job because of that corona, and so I had to look for another job, so I sent my CV out, and I really couldn't be arsed. So I did a very simple one-page CV and sent it out. And I got 2 job offers. One was for fitting fire suppression systems for industrial kitchens, canteens, and another one was fitting windows. And I decided to go with the company that fits windows. So I turned down the job that puts fires out because I like to light fires. I'm not an arsonist. Fire. Pyramid. Fire in the middle. And also I like fitting windows so people can see. Now, of course, I can't fit windows, but you can by cleaning your house and meditating. The window, the pineal gland, raising that energy. So I started that new job 2 weeks ago, and it's okay actually. It's quite interesting. They fit very expensive windows for very wealthy people. I was in this gentleman's house. He works the stock market and swimming pool and all the shit that nobody needs. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about Corona, this COVID-19 horseshit. And I went shopping the other day and I watched a couple. They were about 35 years old and they were both wearing a face mask, and they both went to kiss each other with the face masks on, and then they realised the absurdity of it. And as I walked past with my shopping, I stopped and had to laugh at them because I don't wear a mask. No, not at all. I got stopped by security and so I showed him the app on my phone, which is the government exemption, which I downloaded off the internet. And he said you should wear something on your collar, or like a bracelet around your neck so everyone can see. So I asked him, when do we start tattooing ourselves? And he looked at me perplexed. Fucking dunce. And when you're walking around a supermarket and you're not wearing a mask, people look at you like you're infected. Dunces. And it's like I'm in a different reality. They're in a different world to mine. Anyway. Several years ago, there was these miners in Chile. And there was a mine collapse. And 33 miners got trapped underground. You can look this up on YouTube. And I'd encourage you to be diligent and look at these things and see it with your own eyes and hear it with your own ears so you can own it rather than just hearing it from me. So they were trapped underground, and then there was this big rescue effort to rescue these 33 miners who were trapped in the dark. And they bored a tunnel going down, and they put this capsule in, and it rescued the 33 miners one at a time. And this capsule was called the Phoenix. And the Phoenix rose and delivered each of 33 miners to the surface. And then, bizarrely or oddly, the Prime Minister, or whatever he's called, of Chile flew to London and met the Queen and gave her a piece of rock from the mine. It's a ritual. the 33 ascending, rising from below, ascending like the phoenix from the ashes. It was a ritual. A more recent case was the school outing, the children. I forget which country it was in. Was it Vietnam or Indonesia? I forget. And they went into these cave systems. But then the cave became flooded. And the 12 children and the one teacher became trapped in the cave. And there was this big operation to get them out. And the special forces were involved from that country. And one of them died in the rescue. Elon Musk got involved in it. He wanted to build a submarine or something. Yeah, okay, Elon. And he called... yeah, I shouldn't laugh at it, but it was just so absurd. He called one of the British rescue effort team's members, he called him a paedophile, and it went to court. Anyway, but it's all part of the shit show, the fucking pantomime. Now what's interesting is that these Chilean miners and these children trapped in the caves, that was global news. It was on the mass media, and it was like, hourly updates. It was another ritual. The 12 children trapped in the cave. Here's your cave. The ventricles of the brain. And the 12 children is the 12 cranial nerves. And the teacher is higher consciousness, Jesus, or the Apostle Paul, the ego. Take your pick. The 13th apostle, the self-named apostle, the Apostle Paul, is the ego. Now, the world, Christianity, or Twistians, because they twist everything, they follow the Apostle Paul. They haven't got a clue what the character Jesus is talking about. Now, whether these two characters existed is of no interest to me. I simply do not care. Now, that might seem a bit harsh. It's not because of that. It's because I want to know what are they trying to say. What is the message? How does that affect me now? What can I do with that information now? How do I respond to that now? Now, you can harbour the idea that somebody was cutting around the Middle East in a dish dash and a pair of sandals, poking fun at the religious establishment and annoying the Romans, if you wish. But what do you get out of it? Fuck all. So I tend to focus on how it's relevant to you as an individual in the here and now. So I don't really care much for his history with regards to the past. I wasn't there, but I'm here now. Anyway, one of these special forces guys, during the rescue of those unfortunate children trapped in the cave with the teacher, would have been symbolic of the ego death, which is the death not to be feared. Because if you eat of that fruit, you will surely, on that day, you will surely die. Who said that? Because on that day, you will not die, and you will have knowledge of good and evil, and you will be like God. Jesus said, you are gods. He said it twice. It's in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. The Old Testament, it's the prophets, but they tend not to see it. Was it the prophets? No, it's in Psalms, which was King David's writings. King Daud. Daud means beloved. And it's just another archetype of higher consciousness. King Saul was a cock. King Saul was symbolic of the ego, and King David was symbolic of higher consciousness. It's the same thing, and that plays itself out continually throughout the whole book. Another example of it is Esau and Jacob. God hated Esau but loved Jacob. One was low consciousness, the other one was high consciousness. One was the ego, experiencing the illusion of separation. The other one was somebody who had overcome the illusion of separation. What was another example? Cain and Abel. Is there any more? Yeah, there's a few more. Anyway, those are probably things I could talk about in the future. So now we've got this coronavirus. Corona means crown. The King of Kings. And it's a ritual. The King of Kings. The crown. And Jesus said, why do you call me the Prince of Peace? I don't come to bring peace. I come to bring division. Social distancing, 2 meters apart. That's division. And then we've got the face masks. And I've pondered that quite a lot. Is something telling me to shut up? No. Those that live by the sword, that's the sword, will die by the sword. But those that are, but Jesus returns in the book of Revelation on a white horse called Faithful and True, and the white horse is the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is responsible for memory. And those that overcome, they know who they are, they remember. And he returns with a sword. Speaks the truth. It's that simple. But you see this playing out on the world stage. And it is a ritual. And you watch the media, which is just an illusion anyway. It creates a mental illusion and people follow it. They get up in the morning, they listen to the radio, COVID, 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 COVID. They watch the news, COVID, COVID, COVID. They go to work, COVID, COVID, COVID. They go shopping, COVID, COVID, COVID. Programming all the time. It's continual. And because they're swine, now remember, I'm speaking symbolically. This is how the book's written. They're swine. What does a swine do? Well, it eats everything that's put in front of it. It doesn't chew the cud. It just bites and swallows everything whole. It's a filthy animal. It doesn't consider anything. It just swallows it all. A pig will eat its own shit. A pig will eat the limbs or tail of another pig, especially if they're held in captivity. It doesn't mean a pig's evil or anything like that. No, a pig is part of the ecosystem. But, well, I don't know. Those things that we have now are heavily hybridized, but nevertheless, it's still a sentient being and it has a biological purpose. But when human beings act like swine, now a clean animal, as described in the Old Testament, is an animal that chews the cud. So it chews it, swallows it, brings it back up again. So if you think about that psychologically, you're being given information and your brain is working with that information. Your mind is playing with it. And you're chewing the cud. And a clean animal then parts the hoof. In other words, it goes its own way. So you've got the masses that don't chew the cud. swine. But the swine also has a parted hoof, does it not? Yeah, because the swine has a parted hoof and it goes with the masses. But an individual that chews the cud and has a parted hoof, but because it's a clean animal, it takes its own individual path, which is the narrow path, which is the kundalini, raising that electromagnetic energy up through your body and through what they call the chakras, energy centers or nodes, if you will. So that's what that's about. Now, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, that's what's going on. It's a ritual. But for what end? Now, you've got people like Mark Sugar Mountain Zuckerberg, who's a descendant of the Rothschilds, I believe, extended. And sponsored and supported by the Central Intelligence Agency. And all intelligence agencies are working this stuff behind the scenes. And they are trying to do the work of the Malak. Malak in Hebrew means angel. An angel comes from the Greek word angelos, and angelos means messenger. So a messenger from on high is higher consciousness. And then you start to understand. But if they're trying to do the work of higher consciousness, then that would be very ego-driven. Yeah? So they are trying to do the rituals because they can only copy. They can't do anything themselves. Funny enough, even Jesus said, I do nothing by myself. Because even Jesus acknowledges the Father, which is the universe, which that universal consciousness goes through Jesus, which is your own I am consciousness. And then it goes out. And the ego is a small program to allow you to function in the world. But the ego is not the master. The I am is the master. Now, when the I am arrives in the house, or like I alluded to in another video, when God's in the house, I'm speaking symbolically, so don't get excited about this. Things will be changed. You will change. Now, so they're trying to do the work of the messenger by acting it out on the world stage. But that's not how this stuff works. Because it's people in positions of, authority and responsibility, like Zuckerberg and government and all the rest of the morons. They are the people that will say, but Lord, didn't we do great works and miracles in your name? And he says, get away from me. I do not know you. So this is about being known. So how do you be known? Well, you raise that energy. Now, on the kundalini, on the upright pole. Now, the character Jesus Christ wasn't crucified on a cross. The name is Stauros in Greek, and it means an upright pole. So the upright pole is the kundalini when it's upright. Now, in common parlance, we think upright means, it's just upright, it's erect. No, okay. It means it's up the right way. The energy is going up. Yeah? Jesus made one blind man see, and he said, they're all upside down. And Jesus spat in his hands and then rubbed the spit and dirt in this guy's eyes. they're all upside down. The energy's upside down. So it's a pole shift, an internal pole shift of an individual. So it's an individual undertaking by cleaning your house and meditating. But these morons are trying to do the ritual. They're putting it out there, trying to enact it, or at least try and drop hints. Now, I would suggest that they are attempting to do the work of the messenger. And it says very specifically, don't do the work of the malak, don't do the work of messenger, or don't do the work of higher consciousness. Am I doing the work of higher consciousness by talking about these things? I've pondered that quite a lot. And then I think to myself, perhaps I've said too much, or I've said enough. But I'm not doing the work of higher consciousness because I can't, and I acknowledge that fact. When you clean your house, that thing you live in, and meditation cleans the brain, it cleans the mind, gets rid of all the dung, the shit that you've inherited, the crap that's been forced on you. Well, not even forced on you, the crap that you blindly accepted. But people are waking up to that. But they're only waking up to the lies. Lies, just fucking lies. Everything's a lie. This society, culture, it's all a fucking lie. So when you realise everything's a lie, you start to feel naked. A bit like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And God said, Adam, Eve, where are you? And Adam and Eve looked at, fuck, we're naked. Adam is the ego intellect. Eve is the subconscious mind, the divine feminine. And God is higher consciousness. And the Garden of Eden is your brain, symbolically speaking. Now, some of you, I hope, are reading the Bible because you've all inherited dung. All of you. I had. There are no exceptions to this. Satan fooled the world. So consider yourself fooled, because only when you acknowledge the fact that you've been tricked, then can you do something about it. But if you think you haven't been fooled, fuck off. Go to another channel. If you're religious and you want to defend religion, fuck off as well. Want nothing to do with you. If you're going to continue to return to that shit like a dog like a dog eating its own vomit, I can't help you. Now, those that understand and then respond, then they will have their own experience in time. This is not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen in 4 weeks. Some of you might be lucky if it's 2 or 3 months. Some of you might have been very fortunate to have it happen spontaneously, like I did, kind of. Now, in the beginning, the book of Genesis, in Hebrew, Bereshit, which means in the beginning. Genesis, genes, genetics. When you raise that energy, it turns things on. It enlightens the mind. But the mind being enlightened just means, right, now I understand this. What do I need to do? Now, there are plenty of enlightened minds out there. You can be enlightened by books. Now, you can read the Bible and then understand it after you've shifted the energy. But that's just, you've got to take it further. You've got to take it to its conclusion. And that's the direction that I am going in. And I would suggest to you that when you read the book, just read it. Let your subconscious mind take it all in, because she sees everything. Now, those of you that have not yet raised the Kundalini, your subconscious mind is the whore of Babylon. Now, that might sound quite insulting. Don't be insulted. That's just your ego. And your ego's fine. We all need an ego. But it needs to be a servant and not a master. So if you're going to reject what I'm saying, then I would suggest to you that your ego is your chief adversary. And adversary in Hebrew is shaitan. And in modern parlance, shaitan is Satan. It just means adversary. So it's adversarial to higher consciousness. That's all it is. That's it. But it's quite a big deal, because a lot of people are fooled by it. Remember, Satan fooled the world. Now, when you shift that energy, the Kundalini, also known as the serpent, goes into your garden and influences Eve to eat of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. Because I'm telling you now, straight up, that humanity has, that's good, that's evil, that's good, that's evil. But who sets that standard? Because it shifts all the time. Back in the 50s, 1950s, homosexuality was frowned upon. It was evil. And now we have, a bit, tolerant, well, not even tolerance, because that would imply it's accepted. You do what you want, you have free will, So it changes with time as people's attitudes and aptitudes shift, as their moral leanings get blown left and right. So anything that man says is good or evil will shift with fashions or narratives. But this book, the knowledge in it, it's a spiritual book. It's a book about consciousness. But some of it's from low consciousness perspective, some of it's from high consciousness perspective, the duality. But if I was to tell you that God has a different attitude about what is good and what is evil, if your Kundalini energy is in the lower regions of your body, you are evil. If you've raised it up and touched your pineal gland and awoken Sleeping Beauty, Eve, your divine feminine, your subconscious, like Sleeping Beauty and the 7 dwarfs, the 7 chakras, it's the same thing. It's a repackaged story. And the prince kisses her. The prince is symbolic of higher consciousness and the sacred secretion from the brain. So if you achieve that, that's good. If you haven't, it's evil. That's the benchmark. That's it. Now, some of you might be quite relieved to hear that. You might think, fucking hell, I've been pretty evil in my life, and that's not what we're being judged over. Do you see? Now, it's said, it's written that the Father is good and he does not judge. His Son judges for him. When you understand that the Father is the consciousness of the universe that pervades everything and is everything, it doesn't judge, it just is. But the Son is the I am. That's your own individual higher consciousness. it intercedes for you on your behalf. You know, imagine it like this. So your own higher consciousness says to the Father, this one's all right, he's okay. So, but it could go the other way. Now this one's not so good, I don't know him. So raising that energy up your stauros, up your upright pole, making you upright. A pole shift. You're no longer upside down, you are upright. That's good. If you are a wrong un and you haven't had that pole shift, you're a wrong un. And when the change comes, if you're not known, boom, you're done. It's finished. There's no second chances. It's that simple. Now, if you looked at man's understanding of good and evil, then the best place to understand that is a religious whorehouse. Go to a church, or a mosque, or a synagogue, and listen to them preach. They'll tell you all about good and evil by man's understanding. Oh, she's a lesbian, she's evil, and he's a gay, and he's evil, and he's a thief, and he's evil, and so on and so forth. Clueless morons, dunces. The dunces. Truth is simple. It speaks for itself. Little lights should be going on. If there's any religious people listening, in fact, what am I on now? 32 minutes. They would have fucked off probably right at the beginning. You've got to get that religious crap out of your head. That's why meditation is key for the psychology. It's all about physiology and psychology. Right? There's going to be a big shift coming. Lots of people are talking about it, but not quite pinning it down. But I will do in future videos. But the first thing an individual has to do is take responsibility. Respond. Responsibility. You, the individual. You, no one else. Nobody is going to come and save you. It's all within. It's all in here, nowhere else. And the book is just a heavily disguised guidance book. What I'll do, because I know some of you have been out and bought Bibles, good on you. I encourage you all to read it. Don't try and understand it. Just get that just get it into your head. And your whore of Babylon, Babel. It's Hebrew. It means confusion. It'll all go in. But respond, clean your house, meditate. And there'll be a physiological change in the way your body runs, and energy will start to move. Things will change for you. It can get quite bumpy. There might be earthquakes in diverse places. In other words, you'll have tremors, shifting of energy. See it through. See it through. It's your body returning to its natural state because you've stopped fucking poisoning it. Rituals. Don't be ritualistic about any of this. Don't be throwing yourself on the floor, worshipping God. He was designed to walk in an upright manner. So the last thing you should be doing is bowing down to anything. Least of all the fucking nonsense that's being propagated by the mass media and those fucking dunces in politics. If any of you are listening to that and actually believing anything they said, seriously, you need to have a word with yourself. Because fear, once it gets into the subconscious mind, it turns off neurotransmitters in your brain. It lessens your immune system and you become susceptible to illness. And the psychopaths that run this run the world, want nothing more than to see all of you wiped out. And sadly, ignorance, a lack of simple knowledge, will destroy billions. That's a fact. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed. They perish for a lack of simple knowledge. It's fucking simple. Right, what else could I add? Yeah. I mean, I can't do anything. I'm just a dick talking. But it's important stuff. And it's the individual that has to have these mental epiphanies and then these physiological happenings. And your tree will get shook. Just make sure loads of fruit falls from it. And then you can offer the fruit to other people. What's that saying? If you want to see how what sort of person they are, look at their fruit. Look at the fruit of politicians. Look at the fruit of religion. Look at the fruit of patriotism. It's hardly worth eating. I wouldn't even consider looking at it. Anyway, there's enough there for you good people to chew the cud on. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.